sliced straight through him.
Oh,
The rest was the Hydra's.
oh,
It was
that's
once Rudy
ridiculous.
came to present and instead kept him stationary.
Oh,
It had made it so where Rudy was
oh,
before.
that's unfortunate. Oh, just I said, what's good, y'all? It's your boys, right, man. Back with some more Mushoku Tensei content, man. You know I love some Mushoku Tensei, so best believe it's coming. But yeah, we reacted to Any News, one of his cut content videos. He explaining how the fight went down with Paul and Rudius in the group in the novel. And I love watching these, so yeah, we finna react to it, man. Go on, hit the like and subscribe if y'all haven't. And yeah, we're gonna keep this grind going.
From the animation and atmosphere,
Hey, the animation was fire. Straight fire. Look at that, he was gone.
to the voice acting and music,
Voice acting was there. Look at that boy.
everything about this episode was pretty much perfect. What is there then to talk about? Well, aside from some
What is there to
explanations
talk about? All the
for
stuff
Rudy's
we missed in that
peculiar
novel.
behavior,
That's what it
there's
is.
the interesting details
Oh, I
behind
can't
the
wait to
way
hear
he
it.
fought the Hydra, Paul's own perspective on the way things turned out, and
His
most
perspective,
importantly,
yeah, see,
the question.
yeah, see, that's what I like to hear, and like the character's perspective, especially in a situation like that, because I know the novel went deep into that before he died, bro. I know he had to. The anime kind of probably like just skipped over it, but hopefully he explained what happened on Paul's side of me.
They're all valuable additions that make an already amazing episode better, so as I go through the best episode of Season 2 so far,
Heck yeah, it was
here's how
best.
this
Oh, it
epic
went down.
fight with the Hydra went in the novels. Now, before I get into that, I know I've been talking about the Mugen apparel a lot lately.
Oh, it's
but
perfect.
we've
Got
just
some new,
launched
you
another
got,
new collection
you got
that
some
I'm
new
super excited to share with
merchandise.
you. Since the demand for the Genesis
I ain't gonna lie,
2 is
them
crazy,
shirts fire.
we've launched
Heck yeah, I
some
bet
more
it did go
alongside it
crazy.
for both Benimaru and Shion. They're once again subtle designs that I feel capture their
they
essence,
black
but
and clean.
aren't so out there that people will know it's anime.
And that one clean.
Those 3 are available to purchase right now, but
Yeah, go
if
buy
you're
the
someone who
merch,
wants all
buy
and
his
want
merch,
the
man.
Genesis
That
tee
was
already,
clean.
you can email us here and we can arrange a potential discount or order change.
No, he ain't get a
The New
discount.
Beginnings collection is still available too, so if you want Mushoku Tensei inspired apparel as well, you can check all that out with the
Oh
link
yeah, I'm
in
about to buy
the
that in
description.
Mushoku Tensei.
We've got the goddess tees for each of
I'm
the
about to buy
waifus
that.
and the New Beginnings set for that more subtle look. They're all
Oh, that's
screen printed
clean.
on
And it got the
100%
sweats. I'll best
cotton, so you can
believe.
be sure the clothes are comfy and the designs won't fade.
I will be buying them
You can
sweats
even
after
get
this
the goddess set
video.
as a trio of stickers if you want.
Gotta give me one.
Just head to mugenproject.com or follow us on Instagram for updates and giveaways.
MugenProject.com.
But anyway, episode 46, Parents, covering chapters 8 to 11 from volume 12 of the light novel.
Let's go.
With the last teleporter being right in front of them, preparation was the most important thing right now. That meant taking stock of supplies, which in turn led Rudy to taking those advanced tier healing scrolls from Roxy.
Oh, that's what those
They were an
were.
emergency precaution just in case his throat or lungs got crushed like last time. He was also given...
I bet he was prepared for that. He still got PTSD from that moment, boy. He like, make sure that does not happen again.
a magically imbued crystal from Alina Lise, which was essentially a mana pot for if he or Roxy ran out. It wasn't something Rudy was particularly concerned with, but when exploring a labyrinth, magicians ran out of mana all the time. Especially if the boss room was one of the arena types.
Yeah, I was wondering. Cause I mean that arena is long. That wasn't they in like each room for like a day? I was like, I know they run out. I know Rudy's don't run out. I know he is ridiculous. I know he got I forgot what type of gene or somebody. He said it before. I've one of his videos. Lapis. So he got like a ton of mana, but I know regular people like Roxy and other mages, they don't got that much.
This meant
They
once
be
you
having to
entered,
slurp them
you
potions
couldn't
down
leave,
like
so unless you were ready
slushies.
to slay the boss as is, it was always best to ensure you were as prepared as possible for it. Now,
Yeah, I always gotta
aside
be
from
prepared.
the wonder of being face to face with a Hydra, what intrigued Rudy more was the condition of Zenith. It wasn't a worried panic like how we saw with Paul though,
It
but
wasn't?
rather a more confused how did she get there type look.
Oh,
His first
okay, I
thoughts
can see
weren't
that.
of concern or how do we save her, but instead a series of questions asking why. How was it that Zenith ended up inside this crystal, and why was it that she was all the way down here being guarded by this Hydra?
Yeah, that was
It's an
confusing.
interesting
Hopefully they
perspective I'll
explained it
get
in the
more
novel.
into soon, but for now, all you need
Oh, wow.
to know is that this was what Rudy was thinking about. There were so many doubts
Yeah, like the
behind
Hydra was
plausibility
protecting
of
her.
all this happening by chance. It was before Rudy could express any of them, though, that Paul would charge in and Rudy be forced to engage. Since he wanted to end the fight in only one hit,
I
what
tried to
he
end it in
charged
one
up
hit.
was a stone cannon on par with this one.
Swear,
A
it
projectile
didn't look like
strong
that at
enough to
all.
obliterate the body of the immortal Demon King. Unfortunately, it wasn't strong enough to pierce this Hydra's
It
defenses,
sure wasn't,
so
bro. He
as we saw in the
blocked the
anime,
crap
the
out of
only
it.
person capable of that was Paul.
Yeah, boy, Paul.
His movements were so fast that even Rudy's Eye of Foresight couldn't keep up, and his technique
See, I knew it. At first, I thought I was tripping, bro, but I knew when he's looking at it, it was tracking what the Hydra was doing. But when Paul was running up, it just had him just steady running forward, like it couldn't even track it. That's ridiculous. They tell you how cold Paul is. Paul ain't no joke, y'all.
refined to the
He
point
ain't no
that
joke.
even if he didn't cut through a head in one slice, he would flip his body and use the centrifugal force from it to ensure he made the cut the second time.
Oh, that was Kyle.
Both swords seemed perfect for the job, but to add a little context as to why this shorter one was better, it's
Why it was
because it
better?
was a magic item imbued with the highly rare steel cutting ability.
Hmm.
This meant the harder the exterior of the opponent Paul was up against, the sharper his sword would become and the easier it would be to slice through.
That's OP.
It was an amazing
what?
weapon that scaled in power proportionally to an enemy's durability.
That's insane.
That also meant it was extremely dull when trying to cut softer things, but that's actually the reason why
Oh.
Paul was even able to secure it. You see, when a
Okay.
merchant was demoing it by trying to cut through dried meat, his inability to slice any of it made it seem like the blade was useless. Paul, of course, recognized it as that extremely rare steel cutting ability,
That's
so
cool,
that was
that
enough
was-
for him to step in and purchase it. It was
Yeah, I would have bought that. Oh, that was a steal for Paul, boy. I know that was a steal in the market, boy. We're like, hold on. Paul probably noticed that. Like, you selling it for how much? Oh, and the merchant probably like, oh, this crap suck. It can't even cut through meat. Look at this crap. And Paul just looking like, I'll take that off your hands, sir. I'll go ahead and pick it up. Appreciate that, man.
was a
Oh, I
bargain
know that
buy
was a
he
steal.
secured for literal pennies,
For
making
pennies,
it an
I knew it, a
impressive find
steal.
whose true value was shining now. Since the Hydra's scales
Yeah,
were
what a
very,
stupid
very
merchant.
tough, that made Paul's sword the perfect tool against them. It's
Heck
just
yeah.
that at this point there wasn't any strategy, and Paul's reckless behavior was
Heck yeah, it was
putting
reckless.
in danger. The injury she received was actually a lot more sizable than what we saw
It was
in the anime,
way-
but nothing
what?
too
It
severe
was way
that
worse?
basic tier healing magic couldn't fix. From the way Rudy described
Okay, good.
it,
Healing.
it was a deep
Healing could've
laceration
still
that
did it.
would have required dozens of stitches back in the old world. One that came just from a slight graze with the Hydra's razor-sharp exterior. That made it
from his
clear that
exterior.
getting close was dangerous, since if the lightest touch was enough to cut you open, those incapable of defending would be sliced to ribbons. It was
Oh,
an
that's
important concern
ridiculous.
that definitely needed to be discussed.
Well, now we figure out why Paul got sliced in half. That's insane. That's insane.
But Paul clearly didn't even register it. His focus
He
on
didn't
Zenith
even
closed
register.
out the fact Alina Lise got hurt, and that didn't really sit too well with Rudy.
Oh, it
I mean,
didn't?
yes, she was the party's tank, but just because taking damage was part of the job, that didn't mean that Paul should completely ignore her. It was a state of mind not beneficial to anyone. What bothered Rudy more than that, though, was once
Yeah.
again that burning question of why.
Why?
Reason
Yeah, see,
being
they
that
didn't go
there were
over that
quite a
in the
few things
anime. They
that
skipped
just
it.
didn't make sense here. Like, even if you set
was
aside
still
the
good, though.
question
The anime
of
still
why
bang.
Zenith got imprisoned here, how was it that she was teleported here to begin with, and how did Geese know that this was the condition she was stuck in?
Yeah.
There's a question that ties back to Rudy's
Yeah,
research,
Geese
and
did
the
know a
latter
lot about
refers to
it.
the peculiar wording Geese chose to use when describing Zenith.
Captured?
To focus on the former first, though, teleportation into a solid object wasn't something easily accomplished.
It
Just
wasn't?
like how you can't cast an offensive spell directly within a person's body, to transport a human into the earth itself was just as impossible.
Oh, that makes
There was
sense.
an
Yeah, they got
insurmountable
balance.
resistance
Yeah,
between
that
the
is
mana at the
balance.
destination and the mana in the person being teleported. One that made the two wholly incompatible with each other.
Ah.
That didn't mean that it was impossible, though, since Rudy did speculate that
But it
with an
wasn't
obscene amount of
impossible.
mana, it probably could be done. So, as unlikely as it was for Zenith to be teleported right into this crystal, it wasn't impossible so long as enough mana was used.
Oh.
This makes me
Okay, that
wonder
explains
whether
a lot.
Zenith was actually teleported here or not, since with her being the only case of teleportation like this,
Yeah. I heard though that it probably did do that. I heard that teleportation was teleporting people in midair. Yeah, like it did her. like what it did to our girl. Man. Some people getting teleported like underwater. And they were getting teleported like in bad places. Some people got it bad with that when that
Perhaps it wasn't
teleportation
the
hit.
incident that had sent her here. Perhaps another factor's at play and we're just getting looped in now. Either way, I'm sure it's something that'll be answered later. Now, as for how Geese knew that she was captured like this, well, it was this choice of wording that made him seem suspicious too.
Oh,
What I
okay.
mean is that it implied he knew this was the state she was in without anyone ever coming here. An impossible scenario considering that no one has made it here.
Okay,
His
so
story was that
Geese,
she
yeah,
was
we already know
found by
Geese smart.
adventurers, but if that was
We
true,
already-
then how did they get all the way here, make it back, and tell Geese about it? It's pretty obvious that they didn't, so something about the way Geese framed his information just wasn't adding up anymore.
Yeah.
It was enough of a mystery that Rudy knew he needed to ask about it later. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see any of that in the anime, but
Wow,
that's the
yeah,
situation as
Then see them all be talking about. Oh, they be skipping deep parts like that. Swear.
is with all the
Just skipped
smaller
over
bits
him
and
asking the
details.
question to Geese.
To switch back to the problem at hand now, though, the Hydra here wasn't one of the 3 confirmed living versions in the world right now.
I swear.
In the Demon Continent, there was the white, gray, and gold scale ones, but
All of them
the
look
one
out.
guarding
I wouldn't want to
Zion
fight
had
none of
3
them.
scales. It was a fabled monster whose last recorded presence was during the Second Great Human-Demon War, a period of time from over 5,000 years ago. Legends say they were annihilated when the continent was split, but clearly that wasn't true given the one standing right in front of them.
Heck yeah.
So this
Yeah,
was
they
a monster
debunked it
Rudy
real
knew
bad,
him
didn't
and
it?
his party were very much outmatched by. So much so that he actually felt it was best to retreat and create a more specialized party. It was unlikely they'd find anyone whose
He was thinking
specialty
about-
was the Hydra, but if there was at least one other person who could slice cleanly through the Hydra's neck, that alone would have made the fight significantly easier.
Heck yeah.
It's just too
Heck yeah, if they had found another person that can cut through that Hydra like Paul was doing, it would have been over, man. Paul would have been alive. I tell you that now, he would have still been alive, y'all.
bad that Rudy knew Paul wouldn't allow it. Given the state he was currently in, even if Rudy did leave and took everyone else with him, he knew Paul would have stayed behind and fought the Hydra solo.
Heck yeah, he
That's
would have
just
fought
how
it solo.
committed he was to ending this problem now. So, before we get more into how they're going to handle it, for a bit more context on Rudy's impartial...
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, if they would have left Paul, wouldn't went nowhere. He probably would have went in there and fought it solo, like he just said. Paul was not playing. He lost all type of rational thinking. He was like, that's my wife. I'm going in there right now, and I'm finna finish this right here, right now. Y'all wasting my time. Y'all wasting everybody's time. He was not playing.
behavior towards Zenith, a large part of it was actually because he'd already given up on her. That's a bit more blunt than how the novel put it, but what Rudy was expecting was literally nothing. He knew the odds of her surviving were minimal to begin with, so in the years she'd been gone, he'd prepared himself for the worst.
Yeah, he prepared himself.
He didn't expect to find any trace of her, let alone her body. It's how I assume he was able to calmly question whether she was alive or not.
Oh,
This
okay.
obviously wasn't appropriate given who she was to him, but as we saw in the anime, Zenith was less his mother and more just this person he happened to live with.
Yeah.
A likely product
gotta,
of how he perceived interpersonal relationships at the time.
Yeah, when it comes to a situation like that, he need to start putting like more emotions in it. Like especially when it came to his mama, he need to start putting more emotion. Like, oh no, like even though he is prepared for the death, he still gotta like act more emotional so it can show that he is sad. 'Cause that's why Paul was mad. He was like, it looked like you don't even care, but then he actually did care. He just prepared for the situation. Like the
Now,
situation.
The most
of him being there.
important thing prior to going back in was
know
determining
what I'm
the
trying to say.
formation and setting everyone's roles in it. Reason being that, with Paul being the only one capable of beheading and Rudy being the only one capable of cauterizing,
That's a clean
ensuring
PFP.
both could do their jobs uninterrupted was absolutely essential. This meant Alina Lise and Tallhand would have to be decoys, and Roxy would need to stay at the back and act as their healer. The result was an arrangement known as the Imperial Cross Formation.
That's clean.
In the anime, it wasn't so prominent, but as you'll soon see, it's actually a major part in how they were able to defeat the Hydra.
Yeah, it worked.
They were
It worked like a
significantly more
charm.
organized than how they looked here. To finish off this conversation first, though, Paul's statement
'cause-
to Rudy wasn't at all as cruel as you might think it was. As absurd
he
as
said,
it
"Save
is
your
to
mom
hear
even
own
if it
parents
kills
say to
you."
fight to the death, the message being sent wasn't so much the literal words of what he was saying, but rather the genuine conviction behind it. What I mean is that by Paul saying what he did, he was displaying in full the trust he had for Rudy, since his own determination would have him save Zenith.
Yeah, I know he wasn't saying it like that. Like, even if it kills you, do it. I know he didn't really mean it like that. That's why he saved him. But I knew he didn't mean it like that. I knew he meant like, man, just fight your hardest, fight as hard as you can. Like, give it your all. Try to give it your all, trying to save it your mother. Trying to save your mother.
The fact he expected the same from Rudy meant he was thinking of him as an equal here. He was seeing Rudy for the adult he was and showing he believed in him just as much as he believed in himself.
Yeah.
A message intent on getting Rudy to share the same determination as his
He wanted to see that determination. Yeah, and Rudy did it too. Looked his dad right in his eye.
Said, yeah, in the process
I'm gonna do it.
In his own words, completely nonsensical.
Oh, chopped in half. Oh, I didn't want to see that.
He just needed Rudy to see how much he respected him first. Now, the anime portrayed the fight amazingly in its own way, but that Imperial cross formation wasn't something you could know they were actively doing. So, it was Paul in front, handling one head at a time, Alina Lise and Tall Hand on either side serving as both decoys and defense.
Serving the decoys, spread the heat out like that.
Cauterize immediately, then Roxy behind him to provide heals for everyone. It was an optimized formation that took advantage of the Hydra's attack patterns. Since it typically only attacked with 3 heads at a time, this meant Alina Lise and Tall Hand could parry one each, then that left the other for Paul and Rudy to handle all on their own.
Heck yeah, which worked out perfectly. Oh wow, it didn't work out perfectly, it worked almost perfectly.
Alina Lise or Tall Hand, 2 heads at once weren't enough to overcome either of them. Even if either did get injured by a mistimed parry, Roxy would just run up, then return back to her position. They were a well-oiled machine, both highly methodical and organized.
Look at that. Tracking the dragon. It's not even tracking what Paul doing.
Paul was protected.
Right at the right moment.
This allowed him to focus only on burning, and while the trust required to do so was immense, by the third head, Rudy knew focusing on anything else was unnecessary. Alina Lise and Tall Hand had proven he had nothing to worry about.
Yeah, they was handling themselves great. They was handling themselves great. They didn't well I think she did get cut like just a tad bit, but it was the same cut. She was already like prepared for that. But yeah, man, they was handling business. They was parrying each one perfectly. All of them was focused. They was just doing their part.
Was immediately deflected and quickly decapitated.
Look at that.
For a while this strict regiment was working spectacularly. It was when the group got the Hydra to 5 heads left, though. Once again, it was. But
when they was in that fight, it felt like that Hydra had about like 20 heads. That fight lasted forever fighting him.
He was able to dodge 2 and block another, but by the time the 4th came to attack,
there
was nothing Tall Hand could do to defend himself anymore. He was immediately
the perfect dodge
like
roll.
How we saw in the anime, then about to be split in half by the incoming 5th head.
Oh, that would have been brutal.
Was there to save him, but that was the real reason why Tall Hand got grabbed like that. I assume it's because the Hydra identified him as the weakest. Fast forward now to the Hydra's trump card, and this was an attack known as Dragon's Breath. An ability strong enough to melt steel and evaporate a bog, yet one
that's
not
ridiculous.
So powerful as to get the best of Rudy. What Rudy had done with his magic here,
that's what I want to know.
Would have taken the equivalent of 10 magicians or more.
Oh, that's
there
ridiculous.
Were no ordinary magicians that could have defended the Hydra's attack like this.
That's
Rudy,
ridiculous.
as we know, wasn't ordinary though, but had the Hydra waited and used each head's dragon breath one after the other, a longer consecutive shot might have been more of a struggle for him. Rudy didn't understand why it didn't, but what he did know was that once they were done, they couldn't use it again.
Oh, that bang! Yeah, that was calm. Let me keep going so I can see what spell he used. Like what? I don't know if it was water or I don't know what that was.
The same
but yeah, that left that dragon like defenseless after that move.
So it was after this that Rudy would start to think that they'd won, but right as he was cauterizing the second to last head, once again the Hydra would do something different. It would flail its severed heads as if they were whips.
Yeah, that's where it became dangerous.
The result of being driven into a corner. Rudy's Eye of Foresight made it clear that this was what was coming, but because he was so close to the Hydra's body, he couldn't understand what exactly it was doing.
Oh, yeah, see, they didn't go over that. Yeah, I thought he was catching what he was doing. I don't know. But yeah, I guess it did it got like too much for him. Like he could see what the dragon was doing, but he's like, what the heck? What the heck? What is it trying to do? Like, it was
comprehend the
panicking.
spiked weapons of destruction flying straight towards him.
Heck yeah.
Paul, on the other hand, knew this was exactly what was coming, so he was completely focused while Rudy was not.
Yeah.
In fact,
Rudy wasn't focused.
He
He
was
was
so
focused
confident
on what
in
he
the
was doing.
experience of everyone around him that he completely forgot Rudy was still a rookie in the labyrinth. Whereas him, Talhand, and Alina Lise knew to avoid this one last attack,
Yeah,
Rudy
that one
simply
last one.
didn't, and that's how he was caught.
Look at that
It was a lack of
dragon.
experience.
Yeah, I seen that dragon look right there and I'm like, oh, free kill, boy. He went straight forward, boy.
That unfortunately proved to be fatal. That's when Rudy would finish the job with Stone Cannon, but not without costing him his arm first. You see, since the Hydra's scales covered its eyelids too, just the act of blinking sliced straight through him. The rest was the Hydra's muscles snapping his bone apart. It was
that's
once
ridiculous.
Rudy came to his senses after this that his playback of what happened revealed why
There
Paul
you go,
got
there go
hit.
Paul.
Long
Oh,
story short, it was essentially a matter of Paul being too skilled.
being
You
too
see,
scared.
a kick this strong would have sent any normal person reeling back from the recoil.
Yeah.
Because Paul was someone who could fight with battle aura though, the recoil, which should have moved his own body out of the way too, was no longer present and instead kept him stationary. It had made it so where Rudy was before.
that's so fortunate. The aura just defied the laws of physics. Wow. And then that's when that dragon just came to bit him in half.
Or was exactly where he ended up. Now, as for what Paul thought about all this, his only thought was to save
Okay,
Rudy.
wait, there is.
The moment
Yeah, that
he
was his
saw
only
Rudy
thought.
was in trouble, his reaction was immediate and without any thought for what came next. The rest was him taking in the aftermath, but right as he would try and ask for healing too, his inability to
that.
do so combined with the looks on everyone's faces revealed the somber fact that he was dying.
Heck yeah, he was in
here's
half.
where
He
I
probably
usually
didn't.
go over
Yeah,
what his
he
last
probably didn't even know he was cut in half. I bet it happened so quick. He like, oh, and like the way they look, I'm probably in terrible shape.
thoughts
Well, terrible
too,
out of
but
shape.
The CD drama does such a great job conveying them
Oh,
that I'm just gonna go
Paul,
ahead
bro,
and play
Paul was
that
going so
instead.
hard, bro. I
It'll
hate that he
also serve
died
as
like
the
that.
end
We
of
were
the
just
video,
getting to
so
know
if
him.
you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But now,
Oh, that would've been
try
good
not
if
to
he.
cry too much.
Look at that.
せめてゼニスが生きてるかどうかだけでも
What is this?
確認したかったな。それだけじゃねえ。夜
Oh, this is what he was thinking?
また会いたかっ
I wanted to see them again.
た。学校通ってんだっけか。
Don't worry, Paul. They all going to school. They going to school.
リーレはどんな顔すっけな。迷惑ばっかかけたけど
Oh, shoot, Trevor, son.
泣いてくれっかな。
That's what he was thinking in his head. He can't even get it out.
畜生。未練だらけだ。
Oh, he died just full of regrets. Oh, that's terrible.
まだやりたいことたくさんあるのによ。
Nah, he died. Oh, he died with so much regret.
でもまあいっか。ルディが死ぬよりはよ。
It's better than Rudy dying. Oh, that's sad. Oh, boy.
来てんだ。
Well, y'all, that's the video right there. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Our boy Andy News coming through with the cut content, man. I be loving seeing all the videos that he be putting out because I be wanting to know like what the anime skip. Cause they be skipping out on some juicy information. I be wanting to know that juicy information, y'all. I don't know why they be skipping. Well, yeah, they be wanting to make them run the time and stuff. But dang, I be hating it. Like, but yeah, though, that's why I watch him. You know, that's why I'm subscribed, so I can know what they missed and what they cut and all that. But yeah, man, if y'all enjoyed that, you know, and like I said, leave a like, subscribe. Yeah, to Andy News, man. If y'all don't know about him, then yeah, man, I will be on it grinding, putting out more videos for y'all. So yeah, so make sure to swing through and see what I'm up to, and I very much appreciate it, man. See y'all on the next reaction.